Ahead on the Piedmont News Station, a major goal reached. It means the city of Greensboro is one step closer to getting a performing arts center.
A federal judge sentenced Jorge Cornell, the leader of the Latin Kings, to 28 years in federal prison today. I'm Mitch Carr in Winston-Salem, and we'll have a reaction from his supporters.
I'm Brent Campbell in Winston-Salem. School hasn't even started yet, and already teachers from across the state are getting together. They're mad.
Well, a huge step for the proposed Greensboro Performing Arts Center in downtown. A fundraising committee says it's shattered its $20 million goal and has now upped the ante. Good evening and thanks for watching the Piedmont News Station.
Now, the GPAC will cost an estimated $60 million to build, and tomorrow Guilford County Commissioners will decide whether to approve diverting up to $10 million in hotel taxes to the project.
And I sat down with the chair of the fundraising committee a little earlier this afternoon, and she told me this is a huge step.
Today marks a milestone, I think, that we can say this project's going to be a reality.
Kathy Manning is on the fundraising committee for the proposed Greensboro Performing Arts Center. She says the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro has secured 68 pledges, totaling more than $20.7 million. They're from individuals, businesses, and foundations ranging from $5 million to $1,000.
That's been the biggest surprise of all, that people are actually finding us and volunteering to give us their money and not waiting for us to chase after them.
Manning says the response has been incredible and there's a ton of interest.
It's not just about symphony, it's not just about Broadway. There'll be jazz, there'll be comedians, there will be singer-songwriters. There'll be the kind of entertainment that can appeal to a very broad cross-section of our community, and this, I think, will be a treasure for people who live in Greensboro for many years to come.
And that's why Manning says the Community Foundation has upped its goal to raise $30 million in private donations for the center.
You only build this building once, certainly once in a generation. This may well be the most important building to be built in downtown Greensboro for many, many years to come, and we want to make sure that we have enough money to do it right.
Now, Manning says her committee is still focusing on major donors, but will eventually launch a community-wide fundraising campaign. All right, there are a few performing arts centers not far from the Piedmont. In the Triangle, for example, you have the Durham Performing Arts Center. It opened in 2008 and has held more than 500 events for more than 1 million guests. Also in the Triangle, the Duke Energy Center for Performing Arts. This center consists of the Raleigh Memorial Auditorium, which opened back in 1932, along with a concert hall, opera theater, the Kennedy Theater, and Plaza. And in Charlotte, you can visit the Blumenthal Performing Arts Center. That opened in 1992 and has had more than 8 million visitors.
Well, plans for a performing arts center in downtown Greensboro are something local developers are taking advantage of downtown. In fact, right now there are plans to add 2 new hotels. Developer Randall Kaplan plans to build a Wyndham Hotel and Resort with nearly 200 rooms in the heart of the downtown area. It would be off South Elm Street near February 1 Place and would be built above the Empire Room complex. A second hotel could soon pop up along Eugene Street across from the Grasshoppers baseball stadium. Developer Roy Carroll's working on that project, which could also include retail and business space.
What little I know about the Performing Arts Center, it's going to draw much larger. It's going to draw Southern Virginia and Western North Carolina. There's going to be folks that drive in a couple of hours that maybe finish up a show or something at 10 o'clock that's going to want a place to stay overnight.
City Council member Zach Matheny says hopefully construction for those hotels will start in the next 12 to 16 months.
28 years. It's a really long time, and that is how long Latin King leader Jorge Cornell will spend behind bars. He spoke before his sentencing, and what he said raised some eyebrows in the courtroom. For years, he said the government has it out for him, and he stayed true to that argument today. Fox 8's Mitch Carr is outside of the federal building in Winston-Salem. And Mitch, take a moment to remind us what he is convicted of doing.
They convicted him of 2 counts of racketeering as well as a count of possessing a firearm during a violent felony. So he could have gotten life in prison. He could have gotten 50 years. Instead, he got 28, which is on the lower end of that spectrum. But he and his supporters believe that he's not only been mischaracterized, but also harassed by the federal government. And they say that he is not the man the government says he is.
One day is too much for an innocent man.
Cameras aren't allowed in federal courtrooms, so hearing from Jorge Cornell supporters like Terrence Muhammad is the only option.
We still hold, and as Jorge Cornell said in court, that he will continue to prove his innocence and he will continue to maintain his innocence.
If you'd been in court, you would have heard the Latin Kings leader use his last chance at mercy from the court to attack the government for attacking him. You also would have heard him predict his own death, saying, quote, "I won't last a year in the feds. The government will pay someone to assassinate me," end quote. He gave a 20-minute speech that his supporters loved.
I think that his criticism of the Greensboro police is the basis for what happened to him today.
To hear Cornell and his followers tell it, the Greensboro PD had it out for Jorge, and they manipulated witnesses to put him behind bars.
The whole process I don't see as fair. I don't see as justice.
Never mind the fact that a jury convicted Cornell of racketeering, an umbrella charge that includes charges of beating up and stabbing rival gang members, profiting from drug sales, recruiting teens for gang activity, even responsibility for attempted murder. The U.S. attorney prosecuting the case had no comment, as Cornell intends to appeal. But Cornell told the judge he had no faith in the process, and neither do his friends.
It's an unjust result growing out of an unjust process.
Cornell has 14 days to file a written appeal, and he said during his 20-minute speech today multiple times that he plans to do so. He also told the judge, and I quote, "Whatever happens here in this courtroom today, I'm innocent. I'm completely innocent," end quote. Reporting live in Winston-Salem, Mitch Carr, Fox 8 News.
Thank you, Mitch. You've likely heard of no student left behind. What about no parent left behind? It's the idea behind a big conference for parents tomorrow in Forsyth County. It's annual events designed to help parents get ready for the year to begin. The school system offers crash courses and group discussions on topics ranging from cyberbullying changes to the elementary school curriculum planning for college, you name it. The classes are free.
We can't do this whole educating children thing that we are charged with doing. We can't do it without parents. And because we know that parents are a child's most important teacher.
That conference starts at 5:30 tomorrow evening at the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System's Career Center. The conference lasts until 8:45, and parents are welcome to come and go as they please. While we're on the topic of educating children, new at 6 o'clock, it started in Greensboro this morning, ended in Winston-Salem this afternoon. Teachers from across North Carolina rallying, encouraging one another with some harsh words for state legislators on the recent budget. Fox 8's Brent Campbell's on the story in Winston-Salem. Brent, the rally today, one of many happening, but some wonder, with the state budget already passed, the governor signed it, are these rallies too little too late?
Neil, you know, I asked some of the educators and the people that were out here this afternoon that very question, and they said no. In fact, they say that the passed budget is actually the impetus, or the spark, if you will, that is uniting teachers and families across the entire state to demand that lawmakers start respecting educators and treat public education as important.
From signs filled with harsh words
that my patience is a little thin right now,
to speakers filled with emotion, this crowd of teachers and supporters of public education consistently are saying,
it seems like a disrespect from legislators. We feel like we don't have respect of the legislature, and that is a very disturbing thing.
And I feel like that's what's missing. I feel like teachers feel like they're just left there with no support, with no encouragement.
From no pay raises to a lack of extra compensation for those with advanced degrees, teachers like this one from Stokes County say they can no longer afford to do what they love and fear others will leave the profession too.
And that's really scary, that we have manufacturing jobs that they're getting paid $15,000 starting off, higher than teachers.
Low pay, increased class size, vouchers for private school, all things these folks argue undermine the basic right to a good public education.
And how are we going to attract professionals and really good teachers? Because our children deserve, this is what our children deserve in North Carolina. They deserve a good public education.
And while they can't change what lawmakers have already agreed to, they say with the help of parents, the future can be different.
I think it kind of woke them up when they saw what the budget was and how it's going to affect their kids.
Now, rallies similar to the one that was held out here today and in Greensboro will be held in other parts of the state tomorrow. One other thing that these teachers say that they are going to do during the first week of school, they are encouraging each other to wear red for public ed. We're live in Winston-Salem tonight. Brent Campbell, Fox 8 News.
Thank you, Brent. New at 6 o'clock, student athletes in Alamance County could face higher standards in order to play sports. The plan would require student athletes to have at least a 2.0 GPA. Now, some coaches say they're concerned about this plan. They argue some students may not be able to maintain a 2.0 due to disabilities. The Burlington Alamance school system will discuss this proposal during its next meeting next month.
Well, as seniors at High Point University head back to the classroom over the next few days, there's already talk of next spring's commencement ceremony. In fact, today the university announced this man, General Colin Powell, will deliver the commencement speech in May. For more than 50 years, Powell spent time in public service. He's a former Secretary of State, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and National Secretary Advisor, serving under Presidents Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush. High Point's commencement scheduled for May the 3rd.
All right, the weather outside is incredible today. We get one more tomorrow, and then all that weather on the Gulf Coast is going to bother us and disrupt your weekend. What does it mean for us? We'll have details next.
Rust on the gates of the Guilford County Animal Shelter, and that's nothing compared to the rust on the actual dog kennels themselves. I'm Fox 8's Jasmine Spencer in Greensboro. Coming up, the reasons behind for a new shelter.